75 years ago, more than 100 million people from more than 30 countries got involved in the Second World War, which led to mass destruction, heavy genocide, and the use of weapons that were never used before. More than 17 million soldiers were killed, and an even greater number of civilians died as a result of bombings, starvation, and deliberate campaigns of mass murder. But on the other hand, the war brought some significant changes in the history of mankind. Hey there, you all, and welcome to a new episode of Science with Zeros podcast. It's your host, Raman Sharma, and I hope you're having an amazing time staying at home. Today, we are going to talk about the World War II and how it changed people's lives throughout the world. But before that, make sure to hit that follow or subscribe button if you haven't already. Now that you might have done that, grab your snacks and drinks and let's get started. In the last episode, I talked about the First World War and what changes did it bring and how it reshaped our lives. But even after its end, this turned out to be one of the main reasons for the Second World War. The First World War ended with Germany signing the Treaty of Versailles, which proved to be a nightmare for Germany. This treaty required Germany to take all the responsibilities for the loss, damage, and destruction caused by Germany and its allies during the war. The amount which Germany was supposed to pay for the reparations was $31.4 billion, which, when adjusted to inflation, translates around 442 billion US dollars, and this is really a lot, even more than the GDP of majorities of countries. And not only Germany, but other countries were also deeply affected too. Italy's economy crashed badly. Russia wasn't technologically advanced and had lost a lot of soldiers already. Italy was supposed to revive the economy and recover, and Russia had to industrialize quickly. The situation was similar across the entire European continent. No one wanted to have another war. The Treaty of Versailles also took a lot of land from Germany, and the will to get all the land back, which was ethnically German, led to World War II. Now that you have a brief knowledge of what caused the World War II, let's have a look at what was caused by the World War II. So, starting from technology, a lot of new technology was used and developed that still continues to benefit us in our day-to-day lives in the present world. Though they were developed with the sole intention to destroy the enemy more easily, post-war, lots of inventions have proved just as effective at improving lives. The first and one of the most important things is the radar, radio detection and ranging. This technology to detect objects at a distance using radio waves was just invented when the war started and was highly improved in a few years at sites like the Radiation Laboratory at the MIT. Radar allowed countries to detect the air attacks, bombing raids, etc. from a distance. And on top of this, the researchers also invented countermeasure. The Allied bombers dropped thousands of tiny strips of tinfoil to jam the enemy radar. The radar technology has also led to a number of beneficial inventions. The construction of complex electronic equipments, which were small, reliable, has led to the foundation of a number of modern electronics such as televisions, computers, mobile phones. Radar signals are also used for navigation. The military has its own other uses. Meteorologists could track storms. A system for radar navigation called the LORAN, an acronym for Long Range Navigation, was the precursor of today's GPS technology. So the invention of radar proved to be a boon. Most probably, you are listening to this on a mobile phone or maybe a tablet or computer, and that is the result of yet another invention of World War II, the Colossus. Colossus was the first programmable electronic digital computer developed during World War II by British codebreakers. It enabled the Allies to gather a ton of military intelligence from the Germans, and it contributed to their victory in the war. There were 11 of these computers used during the war. Two of these room-sized mammoths were used until 1960 by the British before they were dismantled. Interestingly, the public was unaware of Colossus until 1970. So yeah, these computer-based technologies might have taken a bit too long without this war. You might know this that the cabin of airplanes are pressurized so that the passenger and the crew can sustain easily at high altitudes without any problem. Back then, bombers in World War II were equipped with oxygen masks to help them breathe easily. But in 1944, Boeing built the B-29 Superfortress. It was the first aircraft with a pressurized cabin, and the crew could move around comfortably. After the war, the pressurized cabin were introduced in passenger planes and are being used since then for comfortable flights. Talking about airplanes, there was one more thing which was a breakthrough in technology: the landing system. Back then, the airplanes used to have a lot of difficulties in landing at night. Several systems were developed by the Allies to solve this. One groundbreaking development was the Rebecca transponder unit mounted on the aircraft, which was used with the Eureka ground-based transmitter. They had a communication between them and helped in land the plane safely. The instrument landing system, which is used today, is a similar system and is essential to help thousands of planes land in poor conditions every day. Now, along with bringing the change in the landing system, World War II also changed how they fly. It gave us the world's first jet engine. Although Sir Frank Whittle had his first jet engine working in 1937, the British government wasn't particularly interested in it, and work progressed slowly. But Germans pushed this technology further and built the first jet-powered fighter aircraft, the Messerschmitt Me-262. It was much superior to the propeller-powered planes which were used back then. The British worked on its own fighter jet, the Gloucester Meteor, which started its operations in July 1944. By the end of the war, propeller planes that fought were no match for the jet engine models invented during the war. The age of jet engine, which continues today, had begun. The war also gave us the synthetic rubber. During the World War II, Japan had control of all the world's natural rubber supply due to its control over the rubber plantations in Southeast Asia. And because of this, the Allies came up with high quality fake rubber due to the extensive need for tires and boots. It was called the government rubber styrene, and it was being produced at double the rate than that of natural one by 1945. And its synthetic cousins have a number of uses nowadays, from tires to hairbands and rubber bands, from surgical gloves to erasers and a lot more things. So yeah, this was need of the hour back then, and now it's more of a necessity. Also, there was a shortage of oil, and that meant that the Germans desperately needed an alternative. So they came up with a blend of the adipic acid ester with polyethylene oil. It helped keep the German aircraft in the air during the war. The Americans also developed their own synthetic oil and started using it in the Air Force once it was discovered that synthetic oils made the planes easier to start in winter and reduced carbon deposits in oil radiators. The war also made us witness the most powerful weapon available to human, the atom bomb. The United States developed the first atom bomb under the Manhattan Project and dropped it on Hiroshima and Nagasaki in Japan on 6th and 9th August 1945 respectively. The bomb dropped on Hiroshima was a uranium-type bomb, and the one dropped on Nagasaki used plutonium. They were of two different types so as to increase the chances of at least one to be successful. But both of them worked, and it's estimated that between 150,000 and 244,000 people were killed. as a direct result, and the land became radioactive. This was the start of the nuclear era. Many countries have nuclear weapons ready to be deployed, which is quite frightening on its own. But on the upside, without this discovery, there would be no nuclear power, which has largely remained a safe and arguably comparatively cleaner way of generating electricity. Now, after technology, World War II has also sought advances in medical technology. In the medical advancements, penicillin, being the most prominent one, was not invented during the war, but it was first mass produced during the war, the key to making it available to millions of people. During the World War II, it was mostly used to treat the venereal diseases like gonorrhea and syphilis, which had been the scourge of armies for thousands of years. While penicillin itself is used today, it was also the precursor of the antibiotics that we take today to keep simple infections from becoming life-threatening illnesses. Malaria was also a big threat for the troops in the tropical climate, like the South Pacific region, especially for the US. They had to develop solutions to control and prevent it. The creation of new technical solutions was also strongly emphasized, and out of this effort came the development of effective anti-malaria drugs to replace quinine, of new insecticides, and of more effective systems for delivering these insecticides. Some of the major new tools which came out of this research were DDT and drugs such as the atabrine and chloroquine. The availability of atabrine and DDT revolutionized malaria control throughout the world. Many strategies and researches to eradicate malaria took place in the post-war years. During the war, surgery techniques such as removing dead tissue resulted in fewer amputations than at any time. The use of metal plates to help heal fractures began during the war. There were a plethora of inventions during the World War which are extensively used today, some intentionally and some even non-intentionally. Like to save material, women's skirts were made shorter and bathing suits were made out of two pieces, which later became known as bikinis, named after an island in the Pacific where the US Army tested atomic weapons. The superglue was discovered by the scientists in 1942 while they were trying to create clear plastic gun sights for use in World War II. Though it was left unused for a decade as it was too sticky, then in 1958 it was commercially released. The strongest tape in the world, the duct tape, was invented by Johnson & Johnson during the war when the US government asked the company to create a cloth-based tape that would keep moisture out of ammunition cases. Also, there were many materials that had been invented before the war but were widely used during the war. Milk and juice containers made of cardboard replaced the glass bottles. Plastic wrap became a substitute for aluminum foil for covering food, which was used for covering the guns while shipping. Acrylic sheets were molded into bomber noses and fighter planes' canopies instead of metal and glass. The war also led to the creation of the United Nations, which was founded in 1945, to prevent another conflict with the horrific consequences of World War II. The United Nations has encouraged disarmament, promoted human rights, fought poverty, and worked to promote peace worldwide. Its pursuit of stability and global humanitarian efforts also led to the World Health Organization in 1948. So, wrapping this up, I would like to say that the inventions and technological advances can never justify the destruction caused by the World War II, but they really helped the mankind in shaping the future and the world we live in now. Maybe we were short of many things that emerged during the war that we take for granted today. It forced the governments to invest in new projects and inventions, people to think differently, projects to be alive, which wouldn't have been possible in the peacetime. I really hope you would have got a lot of information about how it changed the world we see today, and you must have enjoyed it also. And on this note, I would like to end this episode and take your leave. Feel free to have a chat with me on Instagram at Science with Zeros. I'm Aryaman Sharma and you are listening me on Science with Zeros. Make sure to follow or subscribe to this podcast, and we'll meet in the next one. Till then, keep learning and exploring and stay safe. Thank you and goodbye.